world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be my delayed mid-year check-in wrap-up kind of deal that everyone was doing when it was actually mid-year, but since I was taking an unintentional break from YouTube, I figured I would just do it now as my kind of comeback video. I went through my story graph and I wrote down some stats. This is not going to be entirely comprehensive because I haven't looked at my spreadsheets in almost 2 months at this point, and I need to go through and like actually make sure that I have a better grasp of my books. I also did a massive unhaul again while I was gone, and so I need to make sure that the ones that are scanned in to my app are the ones that I have. I think that is true. Like, I think that's correct. I think I've been able to keep up with that at least. So when I checked yesterday, I had like 64% of my entire book collection read, which is incredible. I'm gonna keep trying to keep those numbers up. But I wanted to come on here and give you guys an update of where I've been, what I've been reading, what I'm currently reading, some light plans for the rest of the year. First exciting thing to talk to you guys about is that I finally set up my Frankenstein shrine in my office. For the longest time, my Frankenstein collection was out in the hallway, and recently it's been, you know, Halloween season effectively for HomeGoods and TJ Maxx and all of those stores. If you don't know, starting July 5th, a lot of the stores start putting out their Halloween collections, and it's gotten way more popular over the years, which is incredible for the spooky people in your life that just like decorating year round. They kind of have a spooky vibe, which is me. So most of the time I'm not really Halloween shopping, I'm office decorating for year round, but I did pick up some stuff for actual Halloween. I think I actually only picked up 2 things for Halloween. One is a candy bowl to give out candy, because normally, like, since we've moved back to Pennsylvania almost 6 years ago, every Halloween we get a lot of kids, but we've only been using like mixing bowls to hand out our candy because we didn't have like a designated Halloween bowl. So now we have one, which is just peanuts, because of course I wanted Charlie Brown. And then the only other thing that I got is oh, I think it's in the closet with all the Halloween decorations. I didn't realize this was going to be such a super popular item, but in the spooky communities, one of the like holy grail items for this season are these trees that have ghosts on like swings hanging from them, and really early on I was able to find the swing that has the 4 ghosts, so I'm super excited that I have that. But yeah, that's really been it in terms of like actual Halloween decorations. Everything else is stuff that's on my walls or in my office, including, you can see that is a Frankenstein's monster pillow, and it has a twin, which is Bride of Frankenstein, that is over there. I also picked up these busts of Frankenstein. I got this candle. I got the 2 in the back. So the Frankenstein's monster, it looks like a coffee cup, I thought was really cute, and then the Frankenstein's monster ghost. And then I feel like there was something over here that I got that I can't remember. Oh, this is not a Halloween decoration, but I collect these spooky, these are squishables, they're not squishmallows, and so I got the death moth because I wanted it. So I have that up there. Oh shit. So I have that up there. I have this wicker bat that is gonna hang from my ceiling as soon as I can find a hook to hang it. It'll hang from my ceiling. And then lots of picture frames, some metal bats that go into my wall, some spooky shelves that are over there. That's kind of it. So this Frankenstein shelf, this is what I want to talk to you about. The top shelf is my Frankenstein collection. So these are all editions of Frankenstein. And then it goes into the next shelf. The second shelf has the folio edition of Frankenstein my husband got me for Christmas this past Christmas. It's the blue one, which is the newer version. I still absolutely want to get my hands on the purple version, which was, I think, like the initial Folio Society when they started doing these newer covers. So I need to like scour eBay again and see if I can find that. And then we go into some books about Mary Shelley, some kind of retellings, and then books by Mary Shelley that are not Frankenstein, and by Mary Wollstonecraft. And then there's a Frankenstein puzzle. And then that side over there behind the ghost and the Hatbox Ghost from Haunted Mansion are editions or retellings, Frankenstein retellings from when I did a haul like a couple months ago. And then the bottom is just a bunch of other books that were on that shelf that I needed room for. That is really what prompted me getting rid of a lot of books recently, because all of the graphic novels that were on the bottom shelf are now out in the hallway, which makes more sense because that's where we have all of our like shared fantasy sci-fi kind of books. So all of them are out there now. Yeah, I really love it. I think it looks amazing. And if you pan up, I don't know if I can do this very well, but if I pan up, you can see there's more Frankenstein stuff on the ceiling up there. Some even higher that you can't really see, but we're just gonna leave it for now. In terms of buying books, I have not really been buying that many books. I have purchased three that I have right here, two that I've read, one that I haven't started yet that I will be starting very soon, and then I have two more books coming to me in the mail this week, but one is a kind of coffee table book, so that one will just be like a flip through, not one that I'm necessarily counting on my TBR. And then the other one is a travel book to prep for our fall spooky trip, because every fall we go to New England and we're doing it again this fall. And so I found this book that I will show on my channel when I get it, that is all spooky grave sites in New England. And that is one thing I do every time that we go to New England, is I look up the oldest, the most unique grave sites and cemeteries up there, and then take little road trips to go see them all. So I'm very excited about that. Today is August 12th, and according to my Storygraph, which I know this is mostly correct, I've read 66 books, but this could be 67 because I'm not sure if I put this one book on there that I'll show you in a second. And I've completed, like, from all of those books, it's 18,253 pages. That is not the accurate, like, complete number of pages, because I'm currently reading some books and I've started other books that I haven't finished yet. So I've actually read more than that. I just don't have a way to entirely reflect that until the book is completed. My top categories in terms of reading this year have been adventurous, mysterious, and lighthearted, which I would 100% believe, because I've very much been kind of locking down my world, my mental health, the media that I'm consuming, to be very lighthearted and fun, and just like completely separate from the universe. Completely agree that it's an accurate representation. These are categories that Storygraph assigns the books. Like I think when people review books on Storygraph, they can say what categories, and then it'll just pull from what other people have said. I don't do any kind of formal review process. I don't really give star ratings. I really just put finished it or didn't finish it, and if I liked it, then I liked it, and if I didn't like it, then I didn't. I don't really, give anything more in depth than that, which probably isn't helpful for you guys, but it's just how I read. I mostly read books that are between 300 and 499 pages, and I've read 5% of my books so far this year have been over 500 pages, so I really don't read massive books, at least at the moment. It was definitely higher the years that I was reading Wheel of Time or Song of Ice and Fire series, but it's been definitely coming down over the last couple of years, that it's really like that mid-range. 79% of the books that I've read so far this year have been fiction, 21% nonfiction. I think it would be cool to get it to 25% nonfiction. I'm currently reading another nonfiction right now, and I finished one right before, so I am in a particular type of nonfiction era right now. And then the main genre that I've read so far this year has been fantasy, which should not be a surprise to anyone that knows my reading, in that I primarily read fantasy of varying different types. So that just makes sense for me. I had some goals for this year that I saw in a goals video, so I went back and looked that up. I wanted to read 25% of my books this year from the library. I don't know where I'm at with that right now. I would imagine that I'm not there because I haven't read any books from the library recently. I've been reading either books I own physically or books that are Kindle versions, and none of them have been from the library. So I need to check and see where I'm actually at with that. The second one was that I can't continue a series until I'm caught up. So basically that means like I can't buy the next book in a series until I've read either like the most recent one or the last one that I have. And I think I've mostly been able to do that. I can't think of any series offhand that I've purchased like the next one without reading the one that I have. I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure I've done that one. I wanted to read more memoirs this year, and I haven't read any memoirs recently. I don't remember if I've actually read any memoirs so far this year. If I did, I just completely forgot about it, so I'll have to go back and look. And then the final one was to complete 2 book bingo challenges. So I had 2 different book bingo boards that I wanted to work on. Haven't looked at them, no idea. I'm sure some of my books could fit into categories, so I'll have to actually update the bingo boards that I have, but I don't know. I haven't done that yet. In terms of reading right now, so I am currently reading 3 books, 2 physical, 1 on my Kindle. The books that I am currently reading are Bad Days in History by Michael Farquhar, and this was the book that I think I said at the beginning of the year. This one has a bad event in history from every day of the year starting January 1st, and so I wanted to read this one throughout the year and just have it be a cool project where I read, you know, what I've been doing is reading in chunks instead of reading actually one thing every day. And I fell behind on this. You can see I got about halfway through and then I stopped reading in June. So I'm trying to get caught up with this one. And it wasn't intentional. I just 100% forgot that I was reading this freaking book. And the other day I walked into my bedroom and I looked at my nightstand at the stack of books and I was like, oh shit. So I completely forgot. So I'm working my way through this one. And I'm hoping to pick up another book like this next year and continue this thing of like a historical event a day kind of vibe. So I'm on the lookout for another one that I can read. The other physical book that I'm reading is Witchcraft, A History and 13 Trials by Marian Gibson. This is a nonfiction that specifically focuses, at the beginning at least, with the Protestant Reformation and kind of the start of demonology and demonizing witches and the men that were involved. It's very, very interesting so far. I'm having a really, really great time reading this. I'm only about 50 pages in, but I am, really, really enjoying this one, learning a lot, because a lot of the books that I have and that I've read about witches have either been Salem related or just from like different lenses. So this is cool to read one that's actually starting at the Protestant Reformation and then building out. Very, very fascinating. Really, really loving it. A book that I finished recently. So in the last couple weeks, I read the 5th Dungeon Crawler Carl book and really enjoyed it. Still really enjoying that series. It is a fantasy series about Carl. If you've never heard of it, it's a fantasy series about Carl, who is the main character. One day he is outside kind of trying to wrangle his ex-girlfriend's cat, and all of a sudden all the buildings around him collapse and every single person who was inside one of those buildings is dead, and this happened all over the world. And then this like AI voice starts talking to him. Well, it's talking to everyone that was outside at the time, and basically says like, we're taking Earth back because you guys suck, and if you want to survive, we're starting a dungeon and you can go down into the dungeon and we're going to basically use it as a game show for other planets and they can watch you try to survive. And so Carl decides to go down into the dungeon, and then every book is Carl on different floors trying to survive, adapt to this new Dungeons and Dragons type world. It's a lot of fun. There are 7 books out so far. Like I said, I just finished the 5th book. I'm gonna wait for a couple months to read book 6 and then wait until the new year to read book 7 because book 8 comes out next year, so I don't want to have too big of a gap between reading them because I am really enjoying them. Not a perfect series by any means. I think the author does some incredible things in terms of storytelling and kind of emotion building and making you really care about some characters, but he also very much falls into stereotypes a lot of the time, tells really outdated kind of shitty jokes at the expense of groups of people. So I definitely am not loving it 100%, but I'm really enjoying it. So I think if the author had been a little bit more intentional and not lazy with the type of jokes and things that they're writing, I think it would be stronger, but they're a lot of fun. I will give them that. They're a lot of fun. That's what I read. And then after that, I moved into a different series that I'm currently reading. So I'm making my way through the Greta Helsing series by Vivian Shaw. I read the first book, which I can't remember the title of. I will insert it here. I reread this because I read it when it initially came out in like 2014. Really, really loved it back then. really loved it now, and then decided I just wanted to continue on with the series. So as soon as I finished book 1, I read book 2, and I can't remember what that one was called either. I will insert it right here. And now I'm almost done with book 3, which is called Grave Importance. I did just look at that a second ago so I could tell you. And basically every book you're following Greta Helsing, who is a monster doctor. So she's a human that is a doctor that was trained specifically to help monsters like vampires, mummies, ghouls, werewolves, all that kind of stuff. And so each book you're following Greta and her friends, this like set cast of characters, as they're getting into more and more shenanigans and interacting with other monsters throughout the world. Very fascinating. I've been really loving it, loving the vibes. So we'll be continuing on with that series. There is a 4th book and then a novella and maybe a 5th book. I can't remember if there's 4 or 5, but really loving those. And then in terms of physical books, the one that I finished most recently is Sick Houses. This one is Haunted Homes and the Architecture of Dread by Layla Taylor. This was incredible. I cannot talk about this one enough to the people in my life. It is so good. So this author decided that they wanted to look at the different types of buildings that we use in horror and do like a deep dive into why those things work. Like, why do we get so scared of haunted houses specifically? Why do we get so freaked out by doll houses? Why do we get so freaked out by these, by witch houses, by hotels, by, you know, it's just absolutely incredible. Each chapter is a specific type of building, and looking at it from like a social justice lens, from an economic lens, from the actual architects that build these houses, and how sometimes it just goes so wrong. And each chapter, as a horror lover, like horror movie lover, I was coming up with in my head of like, oh, I wonder if the author's going to talk about this movie or this thing. And then they did, and it was so great, and I loved it, and it was so affirming being a creepy person and a horror lover. So I very much enjoyed this one and would highly recommend it. Also recommend it to people even if you don't like horror but you like architecture or like paranormal stuff. Would recommend that one. And the other physical book that I read recently is this one, which is Ghost Afraid of the Dark, written by Sarah Conway. This one was super duper cute. It glows in the dark. I found it at TJ Maxx, and it's just a kid's kind of book. It's like one of those hard cardboard books, and it's basically just about this little ghost that is terrified of the dark and then interacts with different monsters who teach him that he doesn't need to be scared of the dark, that the dark can be very fun. As a kid that was absolutely terrified of the dark for years and years, and then also terrified of everything else, this would have made a huge difference in my life if this had existed when I was a kid. So as an adult reading it with that lens of like knowing that this would have helped me, it was very comforting. And like, I told my husband about it as soon as I got home. I told my sister about it. I'm gonna tell my therapist about it. Like, it's just so great. If there's a kid in your life that is scared of the dark, highly recommend this book. If you were scared of the dark, if you just want a cozy book, this one is adorable, and I absolutely recommend it. So reading plans for the end of the year, well, the rest of summer at least, but you know, my reading habits and everything change a lot. I don't have a specific goal of like number of books I'd like to read by the end of the year. Like I said, I'm at 66 or 67, and if I can get more than that, that would be dope, but I'm not gonna like pressure myself into reading a specific amount. It's just gonna be whatever I get to. Like I said, I am in a very specific nonfiction mood, which is spooky nonfiction. I was going through my shelves, and I do have a handful, well, more than a handful of spooky nonfiction books that I'm very excited to get to. One of them being on King James, which he gets brought up a lot in this one. So I'd like to read that. I have a book specifically looking at, from like a feminist lens, of looking at women as ghosts, and why is there always like, you know, the woman in white, the woman in black, you know, the red bride is screaming kind of vibe. So I have a book about that. I have lots of books about witches from different perspectives, lots of really old books about witches and demonology. I have a book about vampires, like historically, what people believed existed. I have a book about a house that they thought was haunted, and it turns out that the people probably just had tuberculosis, but at the time they didn't know what tuberculosis was. It's kind of like spooky stuff. The other thing that I would like to dive into soon is this one, which is Human Rights by Juno Dawson. This is the third and final book of the Her Majesty's Royal Coven trilogy. I have already read the first 2 books and the novella, so this is just the last one that I have. I would very much like to read that one. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of see how the rest of the year plays out in terms of my reading. I know there are books coming out that are continuation of series I've started that I would really, really love to get to. Like the second book in the Witch King series by Martha Wells comes out later this year. The next book from Megan Bannon in the Heart and Mercy Undertaker kind of spooky romance books comes out, and I'm caught up on that series, so I'd like to read that one. The next book in the Morgan Crow series just came out, so I need to read that one. Just gonna see how it goes. I'm very much in a spooky mood right now, so that's really what I am gravitating towards. I otherwise will be hanging out for the rest of the summer, just getting some work done, and I am in my tattoo era again. So I got a new tattoo on this arm, which is like hard to show you. It's upside down. It's a ghost witch. I don't feel like sitting up, so or standing up. So it's a ghost witch with a cauldron, and then we are working on my half sleeve of the bottom portion of my arm. And so I had this one done a couple weeks later, just had this one done, this whole big thing. This is just part 1. Part 2, I will go in again and she will add some more and then do shading, and that will hopefully be done. And then that'll be a Sunday, and then the following Friday in the evening I'm going for another one by a different artist, but that one will be on my leg. And then I think I'm done for right now, because tattoos are expensive and they really hurt. And so I'm in the mood to get them right now, but the more that I get them done, the more I'm like, oh my God, okay, take a break. So I need to take a break. Also, we have the Philadelphia Oddities Expo coming up I'll be going to. We have a like I said, a spooky trip in the fall. I'm going to a concert in the fall with my sister. And also, what else? I feel like there was one more thing. Oh, a coffee expo, like a con thing that I've never been to. My husband and I and one of our friends are gonna go to this coffee expo. That should be super fun. Find some more local brewers and stuff. Brewsters? What am I thinking of? Baristas? No, coffee makers. Coffee bean makers. I can't think of the word right now that I'm trying to think of. But that's it. So I just wanted to come on here, say hi. I'm still here. I'm still reading a lot. I just have been taking time off because of personal reasons and needing to be kind of in the moment with my husband, as I've been dealing with a lot of health issues, which has not been fun. They are ongoing, but hope things seem to be okay for right now. But yeah, let me know what you guys have been reading. What have you been up to? And what are your reading plans for the rest of the summer? Are you Halloween shopping right now? Did you find anything really cool? And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.